you've done the human spirit experience, you know. And if you've done the woman spirit experience, you know. And if you're a longtime member of CSA, you know. Melissa goes way back with us. When we were in the other building, she has just been in her ministry, and it's been my honor to watch it just transform and expand and continue to be a blessing to the world. And so I invite you to, again, just taking in a deep breath and letting that heart space soften, to invite in Reverend Dr. Melissa Phillippe, who is a singer-songwriter, a spiritual counselor, and teacher with 13 albums of original music and meditations. She is also a mentor of the Toltec Path, personally trained by Don Miguel Ruiz, author of the 4 Agreements. We got a heavyweight in the house, y'all. Yeah. But she doesn't come alone. Reverend Z. Egloff is a writer, cartoonist, and spoken word artist. That's not even big enough. Spoken word artist, there's gotta be something else. Because the energy is a transformative work that you do. She is the award-winning author of the spiritual humor blog, Life in ZD, a goofball's guide to enlightenment. Melissa and Z are the founders of Oh My God, Life, an online and traveling ministry devoted to the transformative power of joy. So I'm going to ask you to stand as we give them a CSA welcome. Please, I'm going to invite drawing that energy from the earth, bringing it up, drawing it from your heart and extending it out. And saying, Reverence, we see you. We love you. We bless you. We thank God for you. And so it is.
Oh my God.
So awesome to be here. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm like good for like a year now.
I know, I was just sitting there saying to her, I love this place so much. It is unlike, we travel all around the world going to CSLs and spiritual communities. There is no place like your home. Consciousness, because you created this, including this. I gotta just. Okay. And the other thing I realized, I'm sorry to chat before you go, but
go ahead,
I realized that she read our bio this morning. I never realized before. Nowhere does it say, "This is my wife." I'm just saying. So, as much as you may want to, you can't take her home. Okay, I just had to say.
All right. Okay, so we're going to start it off with a little call and response for those of you who want to do it. Are you ready for this? Yeah. We're gonna actually add some moves to it too, because this morning we need to fortify our faith. So we want to get it in the body. So this is how it goes. Clarify. Magnify. Now I'm going to say occupy, and you say occupy your faith. So I say occupy
your faith.
And then we're going to glorify. Testify. Fortify
your faith.
That's it. You got it. You're
That's it. And when I sing with me.
Yeah.
You'll get it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Okay. Let's take this baby for a ride. Yeah. That's question. I said, what's up with my life, the world, the universe, and how things work? Why am I here? What's my worth? I started to notice synchronicities and a power beyond what I could see. Next thing I knew, I heard Spirit say, here's what you gotta do every day. Gotta clarify, magnify, occupy your faith, and then you gotta glorify, testify, fortify your faith.
So much. We don't have that much fun everywhere.
Oh man, we want to take your band with us everywhere we go. Seriously, yeah. All right, let's all take a deep breath. And exhale. Okay. So, it's been quite a week, huh? Yeah. Now more than ever, we are called to make a stand for love. We are called to make a stand for peace. Not only that, we are called to be love warriors. Peace warriors. And I say warriors because sometimes things get a little crazy and sometimes it's kind of hard to know that truth. Just a little. And how do we do it? How do we do it when things seem like they're falling apart, when things seem like they're crazy? Spiritual practice. Fortify your faith. That is why we are here, and that is what we are here to talk about. The power of spiritual practice, even in seeming adversity. Let's go.
Hey. So, I have this old friend. I actually haven't seen him in years, but I'll never forget this one thing he used to do. Really irritating. You'll know why when I tell you. So, whenever I was all fracked up, whenever I was really in my stuff, in drama, and pulling my hair out and really a mess, stressed, he would say, awesome, another opportunity for spiritual growth. Right, you can see where I might be a little cranky. His timing was always quite impeccable. And the thing is that I lived in that place when I knew him. I lived in that drama and suffering and victimhood, like most all the time. I started being a drug addict. I started acting out the addiction when I was 13 years old. And by the time I knew him when I was around 25, I was a good addict. I mean, I had it down. I was really good at it. And everyone else was to blame. Right? Anybody? You know, we get addicted to being victims. Those of you who are not in 12-step programs, you could go and just say, hi, my name is so-and-so, I'm addicted to being a victim. And one of the things that we do here is we talk about the truth. And you've heard it said this morning already numerous times. It's not true that you're a victim. Because really, there's only one thing happening. And spiritual practice allows us to more fully live knowing that truth, that one thing, more intimately and more actively being able to quickly and more quickly remember that in the face of other stuff. Like this week has been for a lot of us. So the thing is, there's always these two choices, right? To go into the fear that people are having around you and the drama, and to react naturally, autonomically, if you will, because it is an automatic response, to go there with them or in reaction to them, right? Somebody's all freaked out and you go, what? I mean, that's why the news is what the news is. Because people go, ooh, juicy stuff, it could maybe happen to me. Ooh, what happened? And the gift of spiritual practice is that we get faster at going to truth, going to principle in the face of that. Right? So, my experience, praise God, is that I don't live in that drama anymore. I don't live in victimhood. I admit that I occasionally visit. But it's not a happy place for me. I don't know how I used to sort of sustain life in there. Because now, when I go there, it feels really bad. And I don't want to stay there. So just the feeling of how bad it feels is enough to wake me up and get me on my knees. All right. So how did I go from mostly living in the victim to just visiting now and then? Centers for Spiritual Living. Yeah. So sobriety helped. I've been 27 and a half years sober. Yes, indeed. And if you do the math, you'll get it. I've been around CSL for about 26 years. That's true for a lot of people, I think. We find this place. So the thing is that what did it for me, that transformation, is being sober enough to show up at CSL and stick around and practice. And my favorite practice, there's a lot of them, but one of my very favorites, maybe my very favorite, is spiritual mind treatment. It's the type of prayer that we do at Centers for Spiritual Living. And if you haven't noticed or you haven't specifically learned in a class or training or booklet, there are 5 steps. So how many of you are intimately familiar with the 5 steps of prayer treatment? Awesome. Okay. For those of you who are not, I'm going to briefly, in a large brushstroke manner, review those 5 steps. Okay? So, step 1, as you have heard numerous times, spoken today by numerous people. How many things are there? 1. There's one thing. There's one thing happening, one power, one presence, one source, one delicious, amazing, infinite cause. We can call it God, we can call it Spirit, we can call it Allah, we call it the quantum field. But whatever we call it, the name that we name it cannot possibly contain it, for it is infinite and it is perfect. Step one. Step two, well, if that's all there is, anywhere, everywhere, always, then it must be right here. Even when I don't think so. And it must be right there, wherever you are sitting, even when you don't remember. And it must be in everyone, I'm sometimes sorry to say. Sometimes it's harder to see, but it's still the truth. There is one thing, one power, one person. There's only one of us. That's step two. Step three, I'm going to come back to, because I'm talking about a thing that we do called the oh my God practice, and it's especially there in step three. And step three is about claiming what it is we want. It's like that thing that got you to get on your knees, or whether you get on your knees or not, and pray. The thing that brought you to prayer. The change you want to see is where you do that. You visit that. In step three, and the way that we do it at Centers for Spiritual Living is that we sit in step three until we feel like we know we're going to feel when our prayer is answered. So I'll be visiting that again. And step four is gratitude. Thank you, God. Thank you, Spirit, for answering this prayer, for making it so. Now, I have to say, when I'm doing it and I hold out till I feel it, I'm not only thanking Spirit for making it so in a reality soon, I'm thanking it for being a reality right now, right here. It's done. It is done. And the more it's done here now in this practice, the faster it's done as a reality in the rest of life. That's step four, gratitude for the prayer being answered. And step five is release. Thank God for release, because in release, I am reminded I don't have to do it. I don't have to make this happen. I don't have to figure it out. I can trust that it is done. And let it go. Let it be done, handled, made so by that power that can do anything and does everything. Right? That's our 5 steps. All right, I said I'd come back to step 3. That's where we have our little twist on treatment that we call the oh my God practice. And what that is, I already kind of hinted at. Sitting in step 3 until you feel it so powerfully that you even don't want to finish the prayer and get up. Because it's so good to have your prayer answered. Right? And so what they have found is that the more fully we can embody the emotions that we are going to feel when our prayer is answered, the more passionately, the more powerfully we can feel the way that we believe we are going to feel, the faster the prayer is answered, the faster the manifestation. So, when I was trying to figure out how to get myself to feel it more powerfully in my first 5 years or so of prayer practice, I started thinking, well, I know what I'm thinking when I feel bad about this thing. You know, like, they're all so mean to me, or whatever the victimhood, right? Or I'm not safe. People aren't safe now. Whatever that is. I know that thought, but what is it I'm going to be thinking when my prayer is answered? What is it I'm going to think to myself that's going to inspire these feelings that I think I'm going to be feeling when my prayer is answered? Are you following me? Kind of heady, but this is me. I'm figuring things out, right? How to do my prayer to empower the emotional experience, because I know that is the key. And so I looked at what is it for me that I say to myself when I am blown away by how good something is, by some miracle, some amazing, wonderful thing. What is it I say? Well, you might guess. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's just this automatic thing for me. So I invite you to find your own. What is it you say when you are like not exasperated, exclaiming, that's the word, exclamation. When you are like, oh my God, that's so awesome, right? What is yours? But for today, we're going to do oh my God, because that's mine and I'm up here, I got the mic. And so that's what we're talking about today, the oh my God practice, which is an empowering way to do the type of prayer that we do, especially, but always, but especially in times of adversity. Baby.
Yes. Oh, okay. Sometimes when things are really going crazy or seem to be going crazy, spiritual practice is all that we have. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes. Right? When I was 23 years old, I discovered that God was real. I grew up in a household of atheists. I was an atheist. I thought it was all bullshit. But then I discovered I had a series of experiences where I got, now if I didn't have the experience, I wasn't going to be believing anything that anybody else was going to tell me, right? But I had the experiences of knowing, wow, this is real. This is real. And in those experiences, one of the things I realized was, you know, Spirit is way smarter than me. Like, way smarter than me. And me being in charge and in control, well, that has not been going so well. So I'm going to give my life to the divine. I'm going to give my life to Spirit and say, Spirit, you tell me what to do. One of the early things that Spirit told me to do was go work on a farm. I grew up in an academic environment. Here I am working on a small farm in Massachusetts, a small 4-acre vegetable farm. A few months after I get there, the manager leaves, and the owner of the farm thought it would be a good idea for me to run the place, because we'd gone to the same college, so sure. Now, I had to learn to drive a tractor. I didn't even have a driver's license. I was not a driver. I had to learn to drive a tractor. I had to learn how to farm. I had to learn how to plant and cultivate, all that stuff. It was all totally new for me. And here's the thing. Spirit's pretty smart because it was amazing. It was really incredible, really challenging in a wonderful way, grounded me in my body. It was amazing. Also, I was the manager. I was in charge. So I got to do what I wanted. And I invited my best friend to come work with me because, you know, I'm in charge. Now, I'm the kind of person who usually has like a group of small, close friends, but one best friend. I've always been like this my whole life, one best friend. She's my best friend now. But back then I had a best friend, let's just call her Jane. Jane was my best friend. Jane was also into spiritual stuff, and the really cool thing about working on a farm, we would be weeding, planting crops, picking crops, all kinds of things where we could just talk. We could just hang out and talk about deep, woo-woo spiritual stuff all the time in this beautiful farm on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. It was incredible. It was an incredible, incredible time. Spirit knew what it was doing. And then, one day I bent over to pick up a 30-pound bag of limestone. The next morning, I woke up with a shooting pain in my lower back. And when I say shooting pain, that actually doesn't even really begin to describe what it was. It was beyond pain. I couldn't do anything. All I could do was lie in bed. I was totally immobilized. I had to have people bring me meals. I had to go on disability. I was totally messed up. It's the one time in my life that I've actually seriously considered suicide, because I didn't want to, I knew that I couldn't go on living like that. I couldn't go on living in constant pain and having nothing to do but lie in bed all day. I tried a bunch of different things, chiropractic, acupuncture, acupressure. Eventually, through a series of of these modalities, I was able to at least get out of bed and go back to work. But I was still in constant pain. And I still remember the first day I went back to work. I'd been gone for months, and my friend Jane had been running the place in my absence. And I get there the first day, and she says, "Hey, just so you know, I'm running the place now." And I said, what? She said, "Yeah, Hollis asked me to run the place." I said, "When did this happen?" She said, "Oh, a few months ago." I said, "You didn't tell me?" She said, "No." I said, Why? And she said, "Hollis says your pumpkins are too small." Now, we're not speaking metaphorically. Although that is probably the kind of thing Hollis would say. But she said, "Yeah, you're not using enough chemical fertilizer and the pumpkins are too small, so I'm in charge now." So all of a sudden, I've been demoted. I can still work there, but I make less money. And also now I'm working for my best friend, who's not my best friend anymore, because now she's so awkward about the whole thing, she doesn't even want to talk to me. And after this happened, I remember that all those years of hanging out and talking on the farm, she told me story after story about friends that she'd had, and then there was an estrangement, and it was never quite clear why, and I always thought, oh, that won't be me, but now it was me. So in a very short period of time, I lost my job, I lost my one best friend, and I lost my health. I was in constant pain. I had nothing. I had nothing. Everything fell apart. Do you know that everything falling apart feeling? Maybe you've been feeling it lately. Everything's falling apart. I only have one thing, and that was spiritual practice. I didn't yet have the oh my God practice, but I had all the seeds that would lead to that practice. I had prayer, I had meditation, my time with the divine. I had affirmations, I had study, I had all that stuff. And so I clung to it. I clung to it. When everything was falling apart and I had nothing, I clung to my spiritual practice. It was all that I had. And what happened? The first thing to shift was my health. I found out about a book by a man named Dr. John Sarno called Healing Back Pain. It's a mind-body approach to pain and a bunch of other things. And within 4 weeks of reading that book, I was absolutely pain-free. So I had my health back. I was able to think a little bit more clearly about my life and to realize there was nothing there for me anymore. What did I want to do? Well, my great loves were spirituality and psychology. Right after acknowledging this, I found out about a program all the way across the country in California in spiritual psychology. So a few weeks after that, I am moving to California. I am driving in my little car, and I'm not the kind of person who makes big changes, right? But circumstances were such, because everything had fallen apart, that suddenly it made sense to do this big, new, radical thing. Do you hear what I'm saying, right? I didn't have any kind of stereo in my car, so I had my little tape player on the seat next to me, and I'm playing gospel music all the way across California, where I knew no one. Did I mention that? I know no one in California. When I look back at it now, I see that that time period when everything fell apart was the beginning, of everything in my life getting better. Everything. Including and especially those areas that fell apart. My health is super good now. I love what I do, my vocation, and I have the best friend ever. So I know now that when things get crazy, like lately they've been seeming crazy, I know that when things get crazy, I cling to my faith. I cling to my spiritual practice. Because where I see betrayal, God sees opportunity. Where I see chaos, Spirit sees new beginnings. And when I see terror, God sees love. God sees love and only love. Oh my God. Melissa?
So I promised before I finished our little time that I would announce a couple things. One is that we have a mailing list. Okay, this is a two-part thing. First of all, we love hugs. So please come hug us at our table when we're done. And also, we have a mailing list. That's free, of course. And if you sign up, you'll get an email every month that's less than 5 minutes long. And one special email on your birthday. It's really fun. That's our favorite thing. And then the other thing I want to be sure you know is that we're going to be here March 24th here, which is, I don't know, is that Friday or Saturday night?
It's Friday night.
Friday night. March 24th. We have these on our table, so you can take one with you, but also tickets are available today, and they're less in advance, of course, and we're going to rock out and have a great evening. So, okay. So, meanwhile, want to try out the Oh My God practice a little bit? Yeah, I think we all could use that. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I'm just assuming. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is close your eyes for a moment and call to mind what it is you would pray for today. It could be personal, it could be nationwide, it could be global. What is it that your heart is longing for today? And then I'd like you to call in the emotion that you will feel when that prayer is answered in a way that you see that love is more fully revealed. Love, the truth, that one thing, is expressed in a way that you see it. And it is better than you can imagine. How will that feel in your body? And while you hold that feeling in your heart, allow it to grow as you repeat after me. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'd like you to, as you will, when it is answered in the flesh, if you will, in the form, open your eyes and look around you, and you are celebrating with your community. Oh my God! Oh